For travelers looking to rest their weary heads and raise their spirits, there's only one place to stop in Woodbury, Connecticut, the Curtis House Inn. Built in 1736, it's the oldest hotel in the state, and has a reputation for hosting some special guests, but not the human kind.
The Curtis House is haunted.
However, the ghostly visitors are often the only presence at the hotel, as the 16 bedrooms remain empty. That leaves the owners, Chris Hardisty and his sister TJ, around $100,000 in debt, and at each other's throats. Staff morale is on the floor. The owners have such low standards that their employees find it hard to care about the business. And it's the guests who suffer.
There's a stain on my pillow.
Disgusting.
Look at this.
Wow. Close the bathroom door.
Chris and TJ were left to run the hotel after the death of their father. And though the business has been in the family for 59 years, there are real concerns that they will lose it if they can't turn things around. Gordon arrives in Woodbury excited to visit a historical gem on a special day. As he drives to the inn, he calls his mum to wish her a happy Mother's Day. He parks out front and heads through the main door, where the receptionist greets him.
And what's your first name?
Babe.
I don't know you're a babe, but what's your name?
Shirley.
Shirley.
Chef Ramsay is ready to go to his room, but despite the hotel being empty, he's asked to pay an extra $40 as he's 4 hours early for his 3 p.m. check-in time. He decides to wait in the reception area and take a nap on the couch. When he covers himself with a blanket and begins to snore, Babe tells him his behavior is inappropriate. He apologizes, but points out that the rule, which TJ introduced recently, will upset customers. At the desk, he spots the guest check-in book which contains all his details, including his credit card number, and the same for every other guest who has ever stayed at the inn. Ramsay grabs the book and makes a run for it. Thankfully for Babe, Gordon returns with the book, but points out the security issue. Once again, he's told that it's one of TJ's new rules. And there's more bad news for Ramsay. He's been put in room 16, which he will be forced to share with Betty the Ghost. But that doesn't scare him off, and he heads upstairs. Instead of an apparition, he is greeted by a dirty footprint on his pillow, and windowsills full of dead bugs. And then the bed canopy collapses when he touches it. Not a great first impression. An embarrassed Babe tells Gordon that she's worked at the hotel since 1965, when it was thriving. She is sad that the Sibling managers are running the business into the ground. She leaves Ramsay to settle in his room, where he's more worried about catching a disease than seeing something spooky. Until he tries to go downstairs, and he can't open the door.
Honestly, it must be the bloody ghost. Come on, Betty, let me out. I just want to get some lunch.
When he finally breaks out of his room, Gordon goes back to reception where he meets TJ and her mother, Trudy. She is spending her Mother's Day working to help her children out. TJ shows Chef Ramsay to his table, where the server, another family member, outlines the owner's communication problems. She shows him the dinner menu and puts in his order. The first dish, crab cakes, arrive quickly, but it's not a hit with Gordon, or the server who had warned him it wasn't a great choice. While he waits for the next course, he talks to some diners at the next table, who compare the experience in the restaurant to eating hospital food. Next up is the fried calamari, but it's greasy and disgusting.
Can you hear any crispiness? That's limper than my granddad's dick.
Finally, he tries the burger with sweet potato fries. It's a mess, and though he ordered it medium rare, it's raw. Gordon has seen enough and is ready to meet Chris and his younger brother, who are responsible for his lunch. He settles in to watch service, but after 10 minutes is amazed that none of the team has asked him how he enjoyed his meal. He's even more shocked that Chris and TJ do not speak a single word, or even look at each other as they work. Ramsay watches the head chef carelessly throw the food on the plate and asks to see the dish towel he is holding.
You're wiping plates with this. You don't care.
As he looks around the rest of the kitchen, Gordon asks if any of the food at the restaurant is cooked to order. He's told that only the french fries and salads are. Everything else is simply heated up as needed. Ramsay tells Chris that he cooks like he hates the restaurant, and asks him why. When there's no response, Gordon decides he's wasting his time and leaves. That night, Chef Ramsay takes a book of ghost stories to bed with him. He reads that Betty, his room's resident ghost, is particularly fond of male guests and has been known to get into bed with them. He takes his chances and tries to get some nightmare-free rest. The next morning, with no sign of any spirits, Gordon strips off and jumps in the shower, which is ice cold. He dresses and calls a staff meeting, where he tells his siblings that he's shocked by their terrible relationship. The staff tells Gordon they are never thanked for their work, and the prep cook admits there are no standards or passion in the kitchen. Chris remains unbothered by the criticism. Ramsay feels a feud is damaging the business, and the pair should be grateful for the opportunity they've been given. He asks them to go away and talk, or close the doors for good. While TJ and Chris sit down in the office, the server tearfully approaches Ramsay to say she needs to leave, as she can no longer work in the toxic environment. She shares her feelings with the siblings, but instead of trying to comfort her, TJ tells her to stop making personal attacks. When their now ex-server walks away, Chris confirms that she's not the only one who feels that TJ is unkind to the staff, and, in his words, a bit of a psycho.
Everybody thinks you're a mean, horrible bitch. Everybody. I really think you need to fucking talk to somebody.
TJ responds angrily, and the meeting is over. Gordon intervenes and tells them that their resentment towards each other and the inn is ruining the business. TJ says she is sick of arguing, and Chris reveals that he has felt frustrated every day for 3 years, which is why he doesn't speak anymore. Ramsay takes them up to his room, where he's gathered a selection of hotel guests. They tell the owners about stained bedding, dirty windows, broken doors, and thick dust on every surface. Gordon then reveals to the customers that their personal contact and credit card details are all kept in a book at the front desk. They are shocked and unhappy. The guests leave, and Gordon tells the owners they don't care, so they should sell the business. He storms out, or tries to, but once again the door won't open. And it won't open for the siblings either, as they leave in silence. To try to understand Chris and TJ better, Gordon visits their mother, Trudy, at her home. She doesn't understand why they can't get along and is disappointed that the family could lose the business after running it successfully for 6 decades. She agrees to do whatever she can to help Ramsay get through to her children before it's too late. Back at the inn, Trudy gathers the family to stage an intervention. TJ's daughter tells her that her working relationships are ruining her family relationships, which she feels are more important. Babe gets tearful as she reminds the pair that they were close in the past, but tells them their stubbornness is destroying the family-run business. Trudy adds that she knows her kids can make the business a success if they work together. The whole team commits to supporting them, if they can change their ways. Chris and TJ hug for the first time in 3 years, and promise they will unite. Overnight, Gordon's team moves in to give the inn a much-needed makeover. The group arrives and can't wait to see the transformation. Inside, the lobby is clean, bright, and free of clutter. One wall features silhouette portraits of the entire family, to celebrate their long history with the building. The red reservation book that stored every customer's personal data has been replaced by a computer to make check-in faster and keep financial information safe. Upstairs, they enter Gordon's bedroom, and the door actually opens the first time. Inside, the rickety canopy bed has been replaced by a comfortable and sturdy modern alternative, dressed with elegant linens. To stay in keeping with the historical theme, the walls have been wood-paneled and painted a contemporary gray, and Betty the Ghost even has her own cushion. As a final spooky feature, Gordon has installed a portrait with eyes that will literally follow you around the room. The bedroom next door is equally beautiful, with clean white woodwork and luxurious bedding, giving the traditional room a contemporary feel. Downstairs, Chef Ramsay is ready to show off the new menu, which is made up of family favorites. The team loves the food and is excited to show it off to the customers at the relaunch that night. As the first customers arrive, TJ and Babe give them a warm welcome at reception, and Chris is hard at work in the kitchen, with Gordon keeping a close eye on standards. The siblings are communicating and cooperating, and the restaurant is running smoothly. But Gordon has one last area of concern: Betty. He invites a paranormal expert to visit room 16 and presents TJ with a plaque celebrating their membership of Haunted Connecticut tours. He's hoping the inn's new status will attract more restaurant customers and ghost-busting overnight guests. It's time for Ramsay to say goodbye to Babe with 2 kisses, one on each cheek.
Do you know they give you 4 in Paris? Is that a French kiss?
He says goodbye to Chris with a handshake and hugs TJ, reminding the pair to stick together. With a final farewell to Betty, he's gone. After Gordon's visit, the siblings learn to work together, and bookings improved thanks to tourists hoping to spot a ghost. The family is grateful for Chef Ramsay's intervention and is positive about the future. Curtis House Inn was featured in the 2nd season of Hotel Hell and aired in September 2014. The filming took place 16 months before the show was broadcast, with Gordon staying for 4 days in May 2013. And the project didn't run smoothly. Diners invited for the relaunch, which was an unusually short section of the episode, were left waiting 4 hours in a cold room, where they were finally offered a garbage bag of fruit and granola bars to sustain them. When they eventually made it into the inn, they were given cold quiche and eggs, which they were told not to eat. The production crew apologized for the delay, but many angry guests walked out. As Gordon would say, disappointing. Immediately following Chef Ramsay's visit, his new menu caused complaints from regular diners in the restaurant. But those gripes didn't last long. As soon as a contractual obligation of 30 days was over, the original menu was back. From that point on, food reviews were mixed. Some customers enjoyed the old-school dishes, while others felt they were eating diner food. One ongoing theme in the reviews was the poor service, with several guests commenting on rudeness from the waitstaff. As for the rooms, visitors complained of dust, dirt, and discomfort, suggesting that standards dropped after the makeover. When the episode was finally aired in fall 2014, it didn't receive great ratings, reaching a disappointing 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb. But the publicity seems to have helped boost guest numbers, with many reviewers mentioning they visited after seeing Hotel Hell. And for a time, the dining room got busier, with an older clientele in particular enjoying the new menu. Yet, customers still weren't happy with the food or accommodation, and the inn's Yelp ratings hovered around 3.5 out of 5. In 2016, the building was listed on an inn sales website, and it quickly received an offer, but it wouldn't be staying as an inn. Instead, the plan was to turn the historic building into a sober living facility. However, the application was deeply unpopular with locals. To the relief of town residents who wished to retain the claim to the oldest inn in the state, the deal fell through. Chris kept the inn on the market, but kept the doors open as he looked for an investor to support the struggling business. By October 2018, reviews had hit an all-time low, and it seemed that the owners had given up completely. And that may have been because they had. Around that time, they secured a new deal with a Las Vegas event promoter to keep the inn open. But in January 2019, that deal also fell through as the family failed to agree on the contract within an agreed time frame. Finally, in April 2019, experienced owners of the local Evergreen Inn purchased the building to run as a restaurant and hotel. Chris released a statement wishing the new owners luck and success with the inn, which would once again be run by a family group. It was time for the Hardisty family to say goodbye after 65 years, though some were offered new roles, if they wanted them. The doors to Curtis House Inn closed for the last time in April 2019, and in June, the Evergreen Inn opened in its place.
It's the Evergreen Inn. It's beautiful, it's warm, it's friendly, it's welcoming. That's our perspective.
But despite a 30-day renovation and some TV publicity, the new business reached just 3.3 out of 5 on Yelp. Reviews weren't great, with customers complaining of average food, expensive drinks, and unfriendly service. Within a year, the building was up for sale once more, and it was being renovated again. Third time lucky? In 2020, the inn, restaurant, and tavern were reopened as the 1754 House, which remains open today. Instead of trying to attract Ghostbusters, the inn holds beautiful weddings alongside luxurious rooms and a buzzing bar. Gordon's wood paneling and all traces of Betty are long gone, but the rooms are clean, modern, and elegant. Reviews on both Yelp and TripAdvisor are excellent, and the 1754 house achieves ratings of 4.5 out of 5. The biggest question this episode raised for viewers was, what was going on with Gordon's parking? When he first arrived at the inn, he pulled up and parked diagonally across the lines, leaving fans questioning his driving ability. In his defense, there was no one else staying, so it wasn't busy, unless Betty had her own wheels. He was also criticized for his Mother's Day stunt, which was meant to make Chris and TJ look bad for allowing their mom to work. When Gordon called his mother on the way to the hotel, it may have seemed like a sweet and touching moment. Except Mother's Day in Scotland is an entirely different day, around 2 months earlier than in the US. That must have confused his mom. Viewers also agreed that, despite admiring how he gets into the shower without checking the water temperature, they've seen enough of him naked now. He proudly, and unexpectedly, shows his butt in a number of Hotel Hell episodes, though in later series it is blurred. When Curtis House Inn closed in 2019, it looks like Shirley, or Babe, took the opportunity to enjoy a well-earned retirement. Some viewers criticized her for being too serious and grouchy while Gordon goofed around, napping on the sofa and stealing the book. But others defended her, saying Chef Ramsay was more childish in this episode than in any other Hotel Hell visit. Babe's social media is busy, as she regularly shares jokes, memes, and photos of her family and pets with her many friends. We hope she's enjoying a break from tricky customers, especially difficult ones like Gordon. Unfortunately, we have some sad news about Trudy, TJ and Chris's mom, who had owned the restaurant with her late husband. Trudy, or Gertrude, passed away in January 2021 at the age of 91, surrounded by her family. Prior to Trudy's death, TJ posted a number of pictures of her mom enjoying time with her extended family, including her 11 grandchildren. Her obituary spoke of her passion for the inn, where she worked for 50 years, and her strict rules for perfect table setting and bed making. We are sorry for the entire family's loss. It's not clear what TJ has been up to since the family sold the inn, but she shares photos of her family online. She certainly looks happy and healthy. TJ has 160 friends on Facebook, but her brother, Chris, is not one of them. So what happened to the damaged sibling relationship that Gordon tried so hard to repair? We're not sure, but we don't think the supportive alliance between brother and sister lasted long. By the time the inn was for sale, less than 3 years after Gordon's visit, TJ's name was no longer mentioned in relation to the business. Chris took a lot of criticism for his poor hygiene standards in the kitchen, particularly the dirty dish towel. Viewers were also unimpressed with the way he drank from a water pitcher, without bothering to pour a glass. We haven't been able to track down Chris's work history, but he posts occasionally on social media. His appearance has changed dramatically since his time on Hotel Hell, and he too seems to be happy and healthy. It's sad that the siblings couldn't come together to save Curtis House Inn, but we hope that walking away was a positive move for the family.